I've publicly stated before that the sapphire is the very best birthstone, and that I am incredibly biased. But if any gem can make me question my loyalty, then it's the opal. A gemstone of mesmerizing wonder. What is an opal? Where does it come from? And are there any interesting lore tidbits or beliefs surrounding it? I'll answer those questions and more today in this Birthstone series video. It's episode 11. But before we get into that, smash that like button, slap the subscribe button like it impugned your mother's honor, and then the real subscribe button, that little bell. It tremendously helps the channel. Comments are also greatly appreciated. And as always, check out MooneyFineMineral.com for the latest shinies and goodies. Let's begin. Opal is a form of hydrous silica, meaning it's SiO2 and some water content. By strict definition, this means that opal is not a mineral, as water content varies between specimens, waywards of like 20-30% even. It's not a consistent chemical makeup, and it can vary sometimes, as some will absorb water and change that water content. It has been grandfathered in, however. There are two types of opal, common and precious. The difference is all in the color, specifically the play of color. Precious opals will have striking color changes that are sometimes utterly bewildering. So what causes this? Opals form from silica-rich water. Water filters through, say, sandstone and creates a silicic acid solution that deposits opal in voids within existing rocks. The silica is in the form of tiny little spheres, and if those spheres are big enough, light passing through creates play of color that our eyes can see, like millions of tiny prisms. The word opal that we use today is derived from two sources. The Sanskrit word upala, U-P-A-L-A, meaning precious, and the Greek opalios, which means to see a change, a reference to precious opal's wonderful color-changing abilities. Opal has a bright and storied history with mankind. Pliny the Elder noted in 75 CE that, quote, "Some opali carry such a play within them that they equal the deepest and richest colors of painters. Others simulate the flame of fire, of burning sulfur, and even the bright blaze of oil." End quote. He also noted that the gem often held the colors of all other precious gems at that time. Interestingly, opal has been considered, quote, good luck for the majority of human history. And we'll get to that shortly, but the earliest known opals date back to artifacts from Ethiopia circa close to 4000 BCE. Now, we don't know much about this people's beliefs concerning the gemstone, but we do have a lot to look at elsewhere. The Hellenistic world believed that in a rare moment of not being on the Maury Povich show, that the god Zeus cried opal into existence in fits of lightning after defeating the Titans. A curious Arabic tradition states that opals fell from the sky in bolts of lightning from heaven. Quite curious indeed, but let's take a step back. The Greeks and Romans held this belief about their respective Zeuses, but the Romans also associated the opal with Cupid. And there was also a belief, in the blended Hellenist cultures, that opals would grant the wearer the power of foresight. Some Native American tribes believed that opal is part of the goddess of rainbows, who turned herself into the stone to avoid the advances of the male gods. We'll call her the anti-Zeus. The ancient Aborigines in Australia believed that opal was left behind in the footprints of the Creator. Again, for much of human history, opals have been a desirable and, quote, lucky stone. It's been associated with gods of love and fertility. You know, like every stone on this list. It's been called the anchor of hope, and you'll see it cut into anchors sometimes. Opals have also been used in the French crown jewels, as well as the crown of the, quote, Holy Roman Emperors, and more. Queen Victoria was also an avid opal lover, and Roman emperors had a tradition of giving their queens opals since they were associated with love and fertility, as mentioned earlier. Which brings me to one of my very favorite legends ever. Mark Antony loved opals, but specifically he loved an almond-sized opal that was owned by a Roman senator named Nonius. Mark Antony wanted the opal as a gift for Cleopatra, but Nonius didn't want to part with his almond-sized prize and was banished from the Senate. He was turned out of his house and home and apparently exiled for refusing to sell the opal for a price that would have equated to hundreds of thousands of US dollars. Nuts. It is amazing to me the lines people will draw in the sand. Opals were considered tremendous luck in the ancient world. So what changed? Why are opals generally considered unlucky now to those not born in the month of October? What buffoonery happened to make people believe this? A fiction novel, and De Beers, the Diamond Company. The modern belief that opals are unlucky comes almost entirely from a novel and public beliefs forming around it. Sir Walter Scott's Anne of Gerstein. In it, there is a scene described where a character dies and at that moment her opal breaks. And the unlucky bit is all taken from a throwaway line early on. People took that, because hey, opals can be a bit break-happy sometimes, and started believing that opals are bad luck entirely if you are not born in October. A novel, a book, a work of fiction in the 1800s caused this. It's ridiculous. Opal is hydrous silica. It's water-filled. And if a particularly unstable opal has extreme changes in water content, the ones that like to soak up water are again called hydrophane or water-loving, it can crack or break. Most commonly, unstable opals will dry out and just kind of pop at some point. You see this frequently with Ethiopian opals. Other localities like Cooper Pedy are generally more stable. So where does De Beers come in? Well, almost 100 years after Sir Walter Scott's novel, they held a clever marketing campaign in Australia to try to push people away from opals and to diamonds in that country. Claiming that opals were unlucky, this of course only helped to reinforce the superstition, and it spread on a global scale. Diamonds aren't that awesome, I said it. I mean, they're cool, don't get me wrong, they're hard, and some of them are truly wonders of nature. But I'm sorry, April babies. They can be cool, but not at the expense of my boy Opal. So all of that aside from the stunning jewelry, what is opal used for? Surprisingly, common opal has industrial uses. It's been widely mined as a lesser abrasive, insulation media, and a ceramic ingredient. Delicious silica, you know? Don't eat the silica packets. Do not eat the silica packets. Precious opal is typically delineated by locality. Koroit, for instance, or Koroit Boulder opal, is named for a rural town in western Victoria, Australia. Virgin Valley opal is Virgin Valley, Nevada. Fun fact, during ancient Roman times, most of the opal mined came from Eastern Europe. If you're in the US, there are collecting localities in the Virgin Valley area of Nevada, and you can pay to dig there or even in Idaho. The Idaho location is called the Spencer Opal Mine. The big Nevada one is the Bonanza Mine, and there are some others in the area as well. Most commercial opals today are mined in Australia or Ethiopia. So what do you think about opals? Are they lucky? Or will you meet the unfortunate fate of a fictitious character if you wear one? Let me know in the comments. Smash the like button, and leave me a comment as it greatly helps me in the algorithms. You're amazing, and I appreciate you all. That's the end of the video, but the next few minutes will be non-stop opals for your amusement. Have a good day.